Welcome back to the Yeti App Design and Development Masterclass. In this video, we'll be talking about Agile project management and how you can keep your project running smoothly with it. If this is your first masterclass video, make sure to check out the entire masterclass, including downloadable guides at the link in the description. Let's start out with the basics. At its core, Agile is an approach to software development that is both iterative and incremental and focuses on delivering functional pieces of the product in 2-week cycles called sprints. We'll take a deeper dive into this in a bit, but the basic structure of an Agile sprint includes the sprint planning meeting and then the sprint itself, which consists of developing and testing the deliverables, which are then reviewed and evaluated by the project team and client. At the end of each sprint, you'll deliver a tested and approved working component of your product. This sprint process is repeated with a new deliverable every 2 weeks until the product is complete. There are a lot of reasons why we think Agile is the best way to build products, but one of the biggest reasons is the constant feedback you receive during the development process. By consistently talking with our clients and gathering their feedback, we're able to make changes and adjustments sooner rather than later, keeping us on track while building a product they love. So, how do you manage an Agile project? If you're beginning a new project, you're going to want to start with a couple of important preliminary sprints. The first is the onboarding sprint. The onboarding sprint is all about getting everyone on the same page, assigning team roles and responsibilities, and solidifying the project budget, time frame, and metrics for success. You don't need to spend an entire 2 weeks on this sprint, but make sure to time box it to ensure that these important foundational elements are completed. Your next sprint will be the road mapping sprint. During this sprint, you'll be generating your user personas, user journey map, in your tech stack, and by the end of it, you'll have drafted and prioritized your first batch of user stories. Once you're done with these 2 initial sprints and have prioritized a backlog of user stories, you're ready to begin your Agile sprint. To start your Agile sprint, you'll want to begin with a sprint planning meeting. This is where you'll determine which backlog items are going to be completed during the next 2 weeks and by whom. You'll also spend this meeting splitting the features you'll be working on into multiple smaller tasks for completion. Next, you'll hold a sprint kickoff meeting with key team members and the client. The goal for this meeting is to communicate your plan for the coming sprint to the client and answer any questions they might have. Once you've held these 2 meetings, your team is ready to sprint. For the next 2 weeks, they'll work on completing each item in the sprint's backlog. Remember that when working in Agile, an item must be coded, tested, and documented in order for it to be considered complete. Once your sprint is complete, you'll want to hold a sprint wrap-up meeting, during which the work that has been completed is presented for client feedback. If the feedback you receive requires any changes to be made to the product backlog, this is the time to discuss it. The meetings we just discussed will be the bread and butter of your project, so you want to make sure not to skip them. There are also a couple more meetings that you'll want to hold throughout the project, starting with stakeholder check-ins. These monthly meetings include team leads and the client and are a higher-level project health check where the timeline is reviewed, issues are discussed, and any potential concerns can be voiced. By regularly holding these meetings, you can help ensure everyone remains on the same page and that expectations are being met. Another client meeting you'll want to hold is a vision alignment session. This can take place every 3 sprints and will involve assessing all of the work that has been done on the project thus far by comparing it to the benchmarks you've established in your project roadmap. Finally, you'll want to hold regular retrospective meetings with your internal team. These can occur at the end of every sprint or at the end of every few sprints, and involve candidly discussing areas of the project that are going well and areas that need improvement. Your intention during this process is to generate ideas for improvement in the next sprint and for the team's general process as a whole. I know we covered a lot of meetings during this lesson, so make sure to check out the full app design and development masterclass at the link in the description, where you can download a guide with all the information we covered today and more. Make sure to keep an eye out for our next video in the masterclass series covering some of our favorite tips for planning a successful project. Thanks for watching!